Hi. So, I'm zzilmy, or Yimls today, because cameras. Many of you know who I am. I am the streamer, obviously, it's my Twitch channel. Head of Disconnect Esports. Well, not Esports, but Disconnect. Yeah, that's basically who I am. I call him MZGSZM. Hold on 1 second here, guys. I'm getting word in my chat that they cannot hear either of you. 'Fluffy, you want to let me know at some point if you can hear them? That'd be great. I see both of you coming through on my end. Just you currently, I see them talking, but no audio. Okay.
.500 yards, Mickey left.
Okay, nobody wants to hear Siri, Nathan. This is disappointing, because if people could hear us, they might be entertained.
There we go. You got them? Alright.
Hey, oh hey! You can hear us, are you entertained?
My Siri impression. Okay.
Okay, so everything should be working now. Got them both. Sweet.
We're golden? Alright.
Thank you for your assistance there, Fluffy.
Yes, no kidding. Alright, so let me just start this whole thing over. My whole glorious... It was such a spectacular... What?
Sorry, he's saying that my audio is staticky. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to fix that. Oh wait, actually, I can, because this mic isn't working. Hold on a second.
Please excuse us while we deal with 682 new technical difficulties.
Episode 1.
I do, as a podcaster, I actually do. I have the same problem every week, and I have to fix it a different way every single week with my microphone. It's wonderful.
Okay, Fluffy, theoretically you should be hearing me better now.
Okay. Now, he just said in chat that audio is gone, so...
Now my audio's gone, but okay, it was gone for a second, but now it should be good. Theoretically. Much clearer. Awesome, we're good to go.
Alright. We're all here now. We're all good. You can hear us. You can see us.
Stream's live, right?
We're on the air. This is Twitch. They're finding us in the right place. Alright, I'm telling you guys, I don't feel like I could top that first intro that I did while I was totally talking without
Alright,
anybody.
here, I got this. We're gonna go back to the starting soon. Alright, go.
Okay, alright. Well, Welcome everyone to the very first episode of Chaos Reigns, a D&D actual play stream. We are going to be playing 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, set in the world of Ravnica, which is the city of guilds from the Magic the Gathering game. Wow. Jeez. Don't know where my brain was going there. So, to start off with the things that we've already done, but it's okay because I totally caught halfway through that you guys didn't introduce your characters while we were doing it. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves one more time. So zzilmy, should you introduce yourself?
So I'm zzilmy. I'm the streamer over here. This is my Twitch channel. I'm the owner of Disconnect, an esports organization. The character I'll be running is a high elf wizard, part of the Is It Guild, and with a name of Zardu Hasselfrown.
Alright, Nathan.
Legal loopholes,
Don't draw attention to anything.
Fair. Okay. So I'm Nathan, and I go by MZGSZM, and no, it's not really pronounceable in English, so people abbreviate it as MZ or MZG. And I'm going to be playing a Goliath life cleric.
You know who you are in my chat.
I'm trying to make sure I get this right as I'm saying it. I'm like looking down at the copy of my sheet.
You're good. Golden. It was perfect. Alright, and I am Kyle. I don't really have a consistent screen name. I just go by whatever's convenient at a given moment. I go by Kyle because then people actually know who I am. I am a podcaster, one of the 3 co-hosts on MinMax podcast. Also an aspiring author and amateur folklorist. And in this particular instance, I'm playing all the characters that those guys aren't, because I am your DM for tonight. So, just to kind of start with some logistical stuff, as we're working through the stream, we're doing some different and interesting things with this game, so I wanted to go through and explain a couple of things. First of all, I want to make it clear, in accordance with Wizards of the Coast's fan policy, everything that we're creating here is in accordance with their fan content policy. It is essentially fan fiction, so I am drawing a lot on a lot of the content, the storylines from previous Magic the Gathering sets, using the information in the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica campaign guide, which was created for 5th edition, and all of those kinds of things, but we are not in any way associated with Wizards of the Coast, much as we might like to be. Just saying, if there's any Wizards employees out there.
I thought it was worth mentioning, too, we're going to be uploading these to YouTube.
Yes, that is...
see it live.
Right, that is very helpful. It'll be going up on zzilmy's YouTube, and then it will also be going up on our MinMax YouTube page as well. So there will be a couple different places you guys can find this later if you're not tuning in live. So, just to kind of give everyone a sense, I'm kind of operating under the assumption that a lot of the people who might be tuning in haven't played a lot of D&D, might not be super familiar with how the game works, or might not be super familiar with Magic the Gathering. So since we're kind of combining these two things together, basically the way Dungeons & Dragons works is I, as the Dungeon Master, kind of create obstacles, create other characters, kind of create a world in which, in this case, zzilmy and MZG are going to be playing specific characters, and they will make choices and kind of take their actions based on the way I'm describing the world. And then we just kind of play off of each other, and the idea is to tell a compelling story. With that, we are all 3 very big fans of Magic the Gathering. We've all been playing it for quite a few years. And so we were kind of excited with the idea of being able to play a D&D game that was set within one of the worlds from Magic the Gathering. And on top of that, because why not? Let's do something else crazy. So typically in a normal game of Magic the Gathering, each player has their own deck, and you hash it out essentially either trying to run your other player's deck out of cards, or more frequently trying to eliminate their life total, thus eliminating them from the game. With one of the things that one of the formats that we're very fond of playing, what I just described as standard Magic, the three of us have played Chaos Magic quite a bit. So with the Chaos format, you play essentially a normal game of Magic the Gathering, except for you add in an extra deck, which acts as sort of one more player. However, that Chaos deck's turn is just flipping over a random card, and everybody else in the game is affected by whatever card happens to come out of that deck at any given time. So it just adds a random layer of chaos, thus the name of the format, to kind of change up what's going on in a regular Magic game at any given time. So I figured, what the heck? Why not play a Chaos format of Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition set in Ravnica? So the way this game is going to work, typically, as a Dungeon Master, I would be, like I said, creating the worlds, creating the characters, and developing the storyline based on the characters' actions. And a lot of that will still be going on, but in this case, I have created a Chaos deck for this game, built with cards from the two most recent sets of Ravnica cards from Magic the Gathering. So instead of me coming up with, NPCs for the characters to meet, coming up with specific story elements, or, coming up with enemies and things, I am basically going to be using this Chaos deck to determine pretty much everything that goes on with regards to those elements in the game. So, that being said, kind of the way that dynamic is going to work is for each session, I will flip over one new card from the Chaos deck, which will then determine kind of the next thing that's going to happen. I do have a few things that a few systems that I've put into place to help make this, as much as it's an oxymoron, ordered chaos. But it'll help just make sure that we don't lose all handle on where the story's going, and it doesn't turn into like it was the Golgari the whole time. No, it was the Izzet. No, just kidding. Here's a Dimir card. So I am going to be tempering that a little bit, working around it. But for the most part, it's going to be relatively random, and it's a little terrifying as a DM because I have no idea where this story is going to go at this point. So, as I said, typically once for each session, I will be flipping over the cards, and then at some point, we will post links to each of the cards that are used for each session. I will say that there might be instances where I will not reveal the card that was revealed for a session if there is, a specific compelling story reason to keep that hidden. With groups such as the Dimir, which I'll explain a little bit more about in just a moment, there's a lot of secrecy and subterfuge that might be going on, and so if it's more interesting for the narrative for people not to know that, I'll save that and reveal it when it becomes relevant. But for the most part, you guys will know which Chaos cards are being used for each session as that session happens or just after. So it's basically the way this is going to work. For today, and we will, like I said, post these somewhere, I revealed 3 cards to kind of get us started. So I have a story element, an NPC, and an enemy that are all being thrown in to kind of kickstart the whole storyline here. So, this is going to be a lot of me talking right off the bat to kind of get everybody up to speed on what's going on. But I'll try to get through the rest of this as quickly as I can so we can get into playing the game. So the one last thing I wanted to kind of introduce everybody to is to just give everyone a background on Ravnica itself, and so everyone kind of understands the way this world is set up. So Ravnica, as I said, is known as the City of Guilds. It is a plane within Magic the Gathering which is pretty much entirely made up of city. The city is divided up into 10 distinct districts, with the 10th district being kind of the heart of the city, the main city, in which most of the guilds of Ravnica are housed, and where most of the action for most of the Magic storyline takes place. In addition to those 10 districts, you have the Rubble Belts, which are just certain expanses of the city that over the years have fallen into disrepair or, otherwise have been ruined by some circumstance and aren't typically well inhabited outside of certain groups. And then you have the Undercity, which is kind of home to some of the seedier elements of Ravnica, and where the Golgari kind of make their home. And again, I'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. So with this history of Ravnica, basically the world is set up around the existence of 10 distinct guilds. 10,000 years ago, or a little over 10,000 years ago, these 10 different factions all had been warring, and they ended up coming together to create this magical binding document known as the Guild Pact. The Guild Pact essentially created a magically enforced system in which each guild was given a specific task, specific place within society, and it limited their ability to fight with one another, and thus, created order within the city of Ravnica. Around the time of the Decamillennial celebration, which was 10,000 years ZC, or Zal Concordat, which is 10,000 years after the signing of the original Guild Pact, through a kind of crazy loophole, House Demir made themselves known. Up to that point, they had been a secretive guild that no one knew had even existed. And through a series of circumstances that we might get into, ended up breaking the Guild Pact, which allowed all of the guilds to return to basically warring amongst one another. There was kind of an uneasy time period in which many of the guilds nearly collapsed. The whole guild system almost went away for a while, but eventually there was a failsafe triggered that one of the original signers of the Guild Pact had set up to allow for a new Guild Pact to be created in the event that the original one was ever destroyed. And that new Guild Pact ended up being created in the form of a person, which was the Planeswalker Jace Beleren. So if anyone has played any Magic, if you know the Planeswalker Jace, he's one of the biggest and most famous, classic blue Planeswalker. He is he has become the living Guild Pact. He's the living embodiment of the law on Ravnica. So, I'll just go run through the list real quick of all the guilds. You have the Azorius Senate. They are responsible for creating the laws in Ravnica. The Boros Legion, which are essentially the military organization and help with law enforcement. House Demir, which, as I said, up until recently no one knew existed. And they are basically your classic thieves guild spy network. The Golgari Swarm, which handles all of the, kind of refuse and garbage and reprocessing of waste in the city. The Gruul clans, which are kind of more of the wild, they live in the rubble belts, prefer to tear down civilization. They're kind of the wild men, if you will. The Izzet League, which is a scientific organization, which is the guild that Aaron is a part of. And they are famous for wild experiments and creating new and exciting scientific inventions. The Orzhov Syndicate is essentially the banking guilds, but it's also the kind of shady crime family setup. The Cult of Rakdos, which is a bunch of crazy, murderous, demon-worshipping carnival people, basically. Then you have the Selesnya Combine, which is your classic life druids. They're all a part of, in the Magic stories, they're frequently called the Life Churchers. So kind of your classic life is great, high religion kind of organization. And then finally you have the Simic Combine, which is another scientific organization devoted to biomedical research and largely creating just crazy, scary mutant combination creatures. So, that's kind of a quick little snapshot of what it is like. And with that, we'll jump into the actual story here. So, Zardu and Placé, given the recent dissonance and social calamities that have happened since the breaking of the Guild Pact some 75 or so years ago, as you guys have grown up in this environment, you've seen the guilds struggle to try and maintain some degree of order. It wasn't until a couple of years ago when there was talk of a maze and when guilds came together that you found that things finally started to find a new sense of order around this supposed living guild pact, this embodiment of all that was Ravnica's law, who suddenly took up residence somewhere in the 10th district. But that was kind of far distant for the both of you. And you guys found yourselves living in the 6th, going about your merry business. And at some point or another, you found your way into your respective guilds. And unfortunately, as you first start off in a guild, you find yourself at the bottom rungs and having to take orders. So, a couple of weeks ago, when the Selesnya Combine came up with this great plan and strategy to get the guilds to start cooperating better together again, the two of you were drafted into this program. And unfortunately, as you have little to no clout in your guilds at this point, you were given the orders and expected to follow them. So now, here you are. Today, you find yourselves together, roaming your way across the city streets, following a centaur woman who had introduced herself as Peretnia Vorkos. All right. Well, the two of you are going to have to realize that this isn't going to be a quick and easy project. I hope you'll understand that. I know you might not be as committed to this idea as I am, but I really think that if we can work together, we can show all of the guilds that this can be something that can work. We can truly begin to foster a better and more lasting peace amongst the guilds. You know, they talk about this new living guild pact, but I mean, he's a man. He's flesh and blood. What if something should happen to him? I don't know. I just feel finding other ways for peace the best option. Wouldn't you say so?
It's hardly like me to doubt that of a planeswalker.
Well, I don't. I mean, you don't think he's fallible. You don't think he could make mistakes.
Everyone makes mistakes, but we all learn from those.
Well, that's fair enough, I suppose. You know, I hear things about him being a mind mage. I wonder... I don't know. I guess I just don't see someone like that as being very trustworthy. And they say he's gone for so long all the time.
Rumor has it he can go to a land that no mortal man can see.
I don't know about that. But in any case, it's not really particularly relevant to our situation here. I suppose I should explain a little bit more about where we're going. You see, I had a discussion with Amara Tendris not too long ago, and she had suggested that maybe we could get these other guilds to cooperate. And she said she had heard something about the Gruul clans being, I don't know, less wild than they had always used to be. I don't know if I believe that either, but maybe. So she's sending us to try and see if we can enter the Rebel Belts and find anybody to talk to who might be willing to join our little organization. You guys you continue to fall into step behind Peretnia, and after a while, you've been to the rhythm of the road, and the kind of endless, teeming landscape of the city slowly starts to give way to lesser foot traffic, to kind of less dense air, if you will. As you start to move into more open territory and see before you the buildings start to lean towards, less well kept, and eventually you reach a point where the buildings have all but collapsed in many different cases. And as you walk for the better part of the afternoon, finally you turn a corner and you see stretched out before you there's a wide expanse of just wrecked city where there's virtually nothing left, and the wild world beyond Ravnica has kind of started to reclaim some of these structures that were once here. You can still see, looking out further on, the city continues further past, but right here before you is this long, very open section of just ravaged buildings and things. And Peretnia turns to you and says, "All right, well, your task is to begin exploring and see if you can find, as I said, find someone to see if we can parlay with. If the two of you want to head in the direction of that ruined tower, I'll start moving over this way and see if I can't find somebody to talk to. We'll meet back here in, say, 3 hours?"
Sounds good.
All right. So she starts to trot off, and you watch her go as she walks with a slight limp away from you. Characteristic limp that you've seen her walk with most of the afternoon, though you didn't quite think to ask her about it. So, here you are. You find yourselves in the Rebel Belts. What would you guys like to do?
There's a tower, right? That's where we're going?
Yep. She pointed you in the direction of the tower.
Alright, I'm gonna follow behind this beast of a man.
Alright, so Zardu, you kind of fall in line behind your tall and quiet Goliath friend as he marches forward, heading towards this tower. And you can tell, even at a distance, although the insignia is very faded, there was once a red painted gauntlet emblazoned on the side of this tower with kind of a starburst effect coming out from behind it, which you very quickly recognize, Nathan, as the symbol of the Boros Guild. So you can kind of imagine that once upon a time this must have been a watchtower of sorts for the Boros. And as you guys are continuing to walk, why don't you guys go ahead and we'll get our first dice rolls in. Give me a perception check.
Oh, I was not prepared for this.
You weren't prepared to roll dice while we're playing D&D?
Shh.
Oh, ugly.
Good start.
Hold on. I'm loading my virtual dice. Crap. Okay, hold on. I'm signed into the wrong Discord account over there.
Don't mind us, folks. We're professionals.
Of course.
We totally know what we're doing.
I do this all the time. I got a 17 on the roll.
Ooh, Not too bad. And what was yours again, Nathan? 7? 7.
Wait, and it's a perception check, so do I add my modifier?
Perception. Yes, you would add your perception
So
modifier.
20.
Nice.
Okay, in that case, I'm at 10.
All right. Hey, not bad, not bad. All right. So, Placé, you are kind of focused on the mission at this point, and let's be honest. Do we really want to be here? You know, your mind is wandering. You're just following orders at this point, and I just don't. I think you just haven't really bothered to take in too much of your surroundings. You see the rubble belt. You see the broken down buildings. You see the general chaos of what was once organized architecture around you. And I think for you, maybe you're focused on being prepared for whatever might be coming towards you, and you're not really taking in the details of the landscape. Aaron, for you,
Excuse me, it's Zardu.
Sorry, Zardu. Zardu, you take note that rather unusually for most places in Ravnica, there are parks, there are areas that are specifically set up for plant life and plant growth, but you're stricken by the fact that this area seems to be seeing a lot of natural plant growth. There's more kind of floating around here than you're used to seeing, and it's maybe a little jarring at first to see something that's so utterly disorganized by comparison to the rest of the city. As you look towards the tower, you can see that there is an entrance that still seems to be, kind of an open space in the side of the tower where a door used to be. It looks like the tower is probably pretty structurally sound from where you're standing right now, and it's also kind of the only standing structure in the area. You also catch sight of a lot of little flickers of movement, here and there. As your eye is drawn towards it, you see birds flying off in that direction. You see, other smaller creatures kind of ducking for cover as they notice you catch sight of them, and things like that. A lot of activity, just not of the sort that you're used to walking through the city.
I say we go in.
Yeah, check it out.
All right. So as you guys come into the tower, you step in through the threshold, and you actually step onto the remains of what used to be a door that was sitting, that is now lying in splinters, shattered and ruined on the ground before you, and you notice that elements of moss and mold and other things are starting to break the door down, and it's got that squishy wood, like it's been sitting around for a while, that dry rot kind of sensation as you feel it crumble underneath of your feet. Looking around the tower, the base level that you're in now, it's not a particularly large chamber, probably I'd say like 20 feet by 20 feet, roughly square, as you're standing inside of this. You see the remnants of what used to be tables, chairs that are now long broken, shattered, and again, starting to kind of rot away. You also see a stone staircase that kind of looks like it spirals up the tower off to your right-hand side.
To the stairs.
Yeah, nothing else here.
Just as a note, keep in mind that you guys can do things like, dig around through what might be there. I don't know, plenty of other things.
To the stairs!
Just say you don't have to follow where I'm directing your attention.
Okay.
Just as a note. But if you just want to go up to the stairs, that's fine.
I will look around a little bit more carefully down here.
Okay. Go ahead and make an investigation check then.
Okay. see, what is my modifier here? Okay, so 12.
12. All right. So you start digging around through the piles of just, kind of the dirt and the grime and things like that. Dig through some of the remnants of the table parts. You find more, kind of just of, platerware and, some broken, like stoneware pots, things of that nature. You do manage to find 3 zibs. And just as yeah, that look. In Ravnica, the currency is not designated by like gold and silver pieces. It's or gold and copper. It's zibs and xenos. So a zib, 3 zibs is like 3 copper pieces, whereas a xeno would be the equivalent of gold. In Ravnica. So you can add that to your character sheet. You found 3 pieces of copper hiding out amongst the rubble. You also notice as you're digging around, there are some tracks around here. You start to, as you're paying more attention to what's going on in the ground, you're seeing, no, there's some signs that there was some activity in here at some point. So, Zardu, you are headed up the stairs. You kind of wander up. The stairs just spiral straight upwards and take you straight to the top of the tower. It's a very simple, straightforward. Whereas the lower area was set up as a garrison, the upper area seems to just be a watch platform. Up here, you find a couple of broken arrows. There are some other shattered weapon bits. Looks like whatever might have been useful up here was, at some point taken away. But you do note that it gives you a pretty good view of the surrounding landscape. So if you'd like to make another perception check from up here to kind of see if you can spot anything of greater interest, you can go ahead and do that.
I'm gonna go back down the stairs.
Okay.
No, I'll do your perception check.
Dungeon Master.
19.
Wow, jeez. You're all sorts of watching tonight.
Yep.
All right, so you look out. It does give you a very nice perspective on, the vastness of the rubble belts. You would say probably in the neighborhood of maybe about a mile and a half wide. And it stretches out kind of away from the center of your district for a fair distance. And you can gauge exactly how far it is, but it's a pretty sizable expanse and kind of this long, narrow strip that this rubble belt is made up of. And as you're looking, again, you see a few of the little flickers of movement here and there. Off in the distance a little ways, you do see what looks to be smoke, like from fires or a set of fires. And then you also see, yep, get those glasses on. Peer closely, Zardu. Look carefully. You also see hints of movement a little bit closer. Something that seems to be struggling just maybe 150 feet from the foot of this tower. You can't tell what it is. You just see a lot of piles of refuse and things shifting unusually.
About how high up is the top of this tower?
At the top of the tower, I'd say you're probably about 25, 30 feet in the air.
So what kind of fall damage are we looking at?
Well, technically, based on the rules for fall damage, you would take 6 damage.
36?
3d6.
Oh.
3 6-sided dice, yep.
Yeah, I'll just go back down the stairs.
As a first level wizard is actually a lot, just so you know.
Yeah, I know. I have all of 8 hit points.
I know, yep. Just making it clear. If you really want to jump off this tower.
There's part of me that just wants to swan dive. But
I mean, if you had taken Featherfall as first level spell, you could totally do that.
Dang. What, do I have anything that can do that?
Don't mind the sounds of my dog barking in the background.
Minimum 3. That's not all of them. That's what Fluffy's saying. So I don't know. I don't know. My mage hand can carry me, right?
No. Unless you weigh less than 5 pounds.
No, 10 pounds. 10 pounds.
10 pounds.
Okay, so what if I use disguise self to disguise myself as a 10-pound block, and then I'll use mage?
For the record, in case anyone is wondering, yes, Aaron, phenomenally inside the Izzet Guild. The Izzet League is the place for you, friends.
All right, I'm
I just try
gonna.
the craziest possible spell combination, and hope it doesn't blow up.
I'm just gonna walk down them stairs.
You must have a relatively high...
That didn't come through.
Oh, I said you must have a relatively high wisdom.
Yeah. Yep.
Alright, so you walk back down the stairs. I assume you share with Placé what you saw up there?
Person struggling like 150 feet away. I wasn't sure if it was yards or not.
Who needs yards? It just complicates things.
All right, let's go check out said person thing.
Okay.
He's a very agreeable Goliath.
I like this.
Few words.
A Goliath, a few words.
Let's see. Wait. He's on this side. Good boy. Good boy. Do you want a Scooby snack?
We're like 20 minutes in, we're already doing player versus player. This is great. Oh no, this isn't even player versus player. This is like actual player versus player. Alright, so
He's
guys...
he's
Okay,
right up here somewhere.
I pull out my mace and look at him menacingly.
Oh, make an intimidation check.
Crap. Okay.
Don't say things unless you want to do them.
Okay. I rolled a 20 and my let's see, what's my modifier? It's too small. I hate this.
Whoa. Jeez.
Oh, 23. Yep. Okay.
So, Aaron, go ahead and make a wisdom saving. With a note that, if you'll remember, we talked about this before, your saving throw is different than your regular skill values.
Wait, so where the saving? Okay, never mind. I see where it is. And that's still a D20, right?
Yes. Yep. D20. Add whatever your wisdom saving throw value is.
11.
It started off as a dumb joke on your part, and now you are petrified of this guy who is supposed to be your partner in this endeavor. He just kind of looks at you the wrong way, and you just immediately realize that this is a very large man who could turn you into a very small puddle on the ground very quickly.
Why do I always roll high on stupid stuff?
Because that's how D&D works. It's so good. Alright, so...
Where did he even go?
He just... You scared him so badly he ghosted straight out of the street.
I could just blend into the mess that is this room.
Alright.
I wasn't paying attention and I legitimately didn't know where he was.
It was actually very hard to see. Alright, so... Zardu, you immediately just sort of fall into line, you're marching your way out of there, heading in the direction where you saw the motion. I'm just gonna go ahead and make a survival check. Let's just, for the sake of rolling dice, let's see how well you are able to translate what you saw from above into your directions down here.
19.
19, nice. Yeah, you get down, and despite your fear at the was going to say expense. That's not the word I'm looking for. Anyway, you're terrified of your friend. You focus yourself long enough to get a direction in mind, and you begin kind of wandering over towards the direction that you saw the movement amongst the rubble. So are you, just to make sure we're clear here, are you leading the way on Zardu, and you're walking behind him, Placé?
I don't think I want to know if, you know...
So Zardu's setting a swift pace, marching towards this disturbance, while Placé is kind of trailing behind just a little bit. So as you are wandering closer, you can see that the pile of refuse you're headed towards is a mixture of what looks to be fragments of old, steam pipes, lots of just broken stone and wood elements that have just kind of crumbled and piled on top of one another. Looks like they were once part of, what would have been a nearby building that's now just kind of collapsed. And there are long, pieces of metal that are kind of obscuring your view of whatever is moving around underneath. But as you get closer and closer, you can definitely tell that something relatively large is shifting about underneath all of this stuff. And as you are listening, you hear the distinctive sounds of snorts.
I'm just gonna, just, like, gesture for this guy to, like, check it out. Like... You know what I'm saying? I mean, you just,
This is kind of weird because I have not played in recorded D&D things where we're actually on camera, so people can actually see your gestures.
I know, it's great. You can just, like, you do the thing.
It's always funny when you're recording a podcast and you're like motioning to the other too, because you can see each other on like a Hangouts call and whatnot, and then suddenly everybody's like, "Oh well, this makes such good radio because nobody else can see."
Yeah.
All right, so what do you do?
All right.
Placé, you see this goofy little wizard in front of you, motioning towards the motion ahead.
I'll approach the pile, mace in hand.
Okay, are you just gonna kind of march right up there, or you go cautiously? What's your approach here?
Look around.
Okay. If that's the case, go ahead and give me a stealth check. Let's see how quietly you're able to approach.
Modifier. 22.
Jeez.
Nice. All right.
He floats slightly above the ground toward this pile.
So, with a grace and a light step, which is astonishing for you to see, so you watch this Goliath like tiptoe his way across just crumbled, wrecked ground and earth. And you are able, Placé, to get right up on top of this pile of rubble and refuse, and you kind of peer in, and you do see inside there is a relatively large boar that just seems to be kind of rooting around in what looks to be a patch of bare grass underneath this. It seems to be looking for food or something underneath all of the junk that's piled here.
I want to attempt to tame it.
We're gonna start that already?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We're doing
D&D.
this.
So, I think this would be an appropriate moment to say for anyone who's watching, we never really intended to be super serious here, so just so everyone's aware, this may be the way this goes quite frequently.
I'm gonna ride a boar out of here.
So, describe this? How are you gonna go about this?
So it's under rubble still, right? Like it can't move.
So yeah, you can see you're it. He's kind of watching inside. He doesn't seem to have caught the creature's attention at all. And you can just see it's shifting around underneath the rubble. You still can't actually see itself. but you know it's there.
All right, so I'll just kind of go up to this pile of rubble, just kind of sit down, like casual lean on it, just kind of like, hey buddy, hey, how's it going? How you doing?
Go ahead and make an animal handling check.
All right. And modifier 14.
14. All right. You definitely know you got its attention. It stops snorting and it kind of, you hear a slight shift, a slight rustle. And then all of a sudden the pile around you just kind of bursts into motion as whatever was kind of supporting the rubble that you're standing gives out and it collapses, and you see this boar come charging out of this rubble, full speed and just tearing off away from you. And for a moment you think, oh, okay, it's gone, until it turns tail and you find it start charging straight back towards the two of you. And I would like for you two to roll initiative.
What's his face? From can't even think of the movie now. Jurassic Park. Just kind of. I'm gonna tame me a raptor. Oh boy. Oh boy.
I rolled 16.
Ooh, nice. Oops.
Oh,
Don't mind my phone alarm going off at random background.
Yeah, boy.
Alright, so
Yeah,
plus.
before you even get to take a move, boy.
Alright, what did you
5.
Nice. Alright. So, we have actually at the top of this, Placé, you have watched your friend just scare this boar and collapse the rubble around you, and now you see a boar has turned and is charging directly at your friend. What would you like to do?
I will
Slide to the left.
Okay, Cha-Cha. Whatever you want to do.
Watch me get demonetized for that.
If only, if only.
Okay, I will take a shot at it with my crossbow.
Alrighty, so you have to up your crossbow. Go ahead and make your attack roll.
Okay. Let's see here. Well, the Discord bot I was... Oh, there it goes. I rolled a 1.
Oh, no. Alright, so you thought you were ready. You'd braced yourself, you remembered your combat, you hefted that crossbow. Unfortunately, the shifting rubble from your friend having leaned on it has kind of destabilized quite a bit of the stuff that's sitting around you. And you, as you go to take the shot, your foot just shifts and slides on some of the slick mud and things that this boar's kind of kicked up in the process of running, and you find yourself tripping and end up basically like taking a knee on the battlefield as your shot goes wide and just kind of flies off into oblivion from your crossbow. All right, so that was your opportunity to act. The boar is now charging directly at you, Zardu. You're caught off guard for a moment, but even more so as you watch as the boar charges towards you, and it suddenly splits into not one but now two boars. And for a second, you swear your eyes were playing tricks on you. It had to have been there was only one boar, but maybe there was two, and You just hadn't seen the other one. But you consider for a moment, the only moment that you have, and you're like, no, there was one boar, and I know I saw that thing just split into two, and they are both charging directly at you right now. So they're running in a straight line towards you, and they're each going to make one charge attack.
Leap into the air, do a triple front flip, and stick the landing.
So the first one is a 6 total, which I'm assuming does class.
You cut out.
The first one is a 6 total, which I'm assuming does not hit your armor
It
class.
does not.
Because even a wizard is not that flimsy. The second one, however, is going to be a 21 to hit.
Yeah.
Alright. Ooh, ouch. That's going to... Holy cow! That just rolled max damage.
Which is?
So 12 points of damage.
Alright, so I'm dead. Everybody enjoy this stream.
So... They're not dead yet. Don't be melodramatic. You got 3 more turns to live. It's fine. Essentially what happens for everyone who isn't familiar with the rules for D&D is whenever a character is reduced to 0 hit points, they are considered unconscious and dying. So basically this boar has just knocked Zardu out, and now on each of his turns from here forward, he will make what's called a death save, and if he rolls at least an 11, it's considered a success. If he has 3 successes, his character will stabilize and he'll be okay. If he rolls 3 failures, then his character is permanently dead. But thankfully, his companion happens to be a life cleric. So you watch, Nathan, as these 2 boars have just charged your friend, knocked him flat. You can tell he is out cold right now. You were equally shocked to see that 1 boar had suddenly become 2, and you're even more shocked to see as one of those boars disappears as you spin about and prepare for his next attack. So your friend is laying on the ground in front of him. There's a boar standing just over him. What would you like to do?
I'll use Cure Wounds.
Okay.
To, heal him.
Sounds good. Go ahead and roll. I believe it's 1d8 plus whatever your spellcasting modifier is.
Yeah.
Which would be wisdom for you as a cleric.
Okay. I gotta double check the modifier.
If you look at your spell sheet, it should be... Well, no, sorry. Just look at your character sheet, and it's what wisdom.
Okay. It's plus 3, so 11 actually.
All right, so you took 12 points of damage. Yeah, just 11. So you should be back on your feet then, Mr. Zardu.
Do hit points go negative?
No. So the rules as far as hit points are concerned in 5th edition, if you were to ever take so much damage that you hit your negative hit point value in 1 strike, then you would not worry about death saves. You were just killed outright in that circumstance. That's the only time a negative hit point value would matter. Otherwise, you're just reduced to 0, and you stay there until you either die or are stabilized.
Okay.
Or
So
in this case, healed.
I'm just back full then.
So you went from full to none to full. Yes. All right. So you find yourself suddenly waking up just in time to see the boar that's kind of standing over you take off and start to charge towards Placé. And this time you know your eyes aren't playing tricks on you because the boar splits into 2 again. As it's charging towards Placé. So now you have 2 boars coming at you, Nathan. Ooh, that's going to be a 13 and a natural 1, so a 16.
Oh, you cut out for me. What was that?
A 16. Does that hit you?
No, 18 I've got.
All right, nice. So you watch as again this boar splits into 2 boars. And then for a moment it even flickers, and you see a third start to appear. But one of them turns and kind of collides with the other, and you see them both just sort of vanish in this weird kind of almost haze for the briefest of moments as they fade away. One of them still continues charging forward, and you just kind of brace yourself as it strikes off of your armor and continues its charge without having done any actual harm to you. All right, Aaron, we're back to you.
So, how many boars are there right now?
Right now you see one. You've noticed it seems like as it's charged, a couple of them have appeared, but right now at this moment you see one.
Alright.
Mama Z in the chat says they can't hear me.
You're just quieter than everyone else. You should just talk
Yeah, I
louder.
think that might be the issue.
Or turn yourself up.
Okay. Yeah, I can bump the audio up a little bit.
We're gonna go with a whopping Ray of Frost.
Ooh, I like it. All right. So go ahead and roll the attack roll for Ray of Frost.
Okay. How do I sound now?
Wait, like the damage or the D20 to hit?
D20 to hit.
Okay.
Because I can go quite a bit louder if I need to.
Sound better on my end now. All right. We'll just assume that's resolved. Aaron, what was your attack roll? Sorry. 3? Sweet. I mean, getting knocked out and then suddenly under conscious is hop to your feet, and you throw the spell out a little haphazardly, and you angle wide, and just miss, kind of off to the side of where that boar was just a few moments ago. And that will bring us back to the top with you, Placé. Rounds go quick when there's only 3 people fighting.
Yeah.
Or 3 creature groups.
I'm gonna try with the crossbow.
Okay. You raise your crossbow up and take aim. Go ahead and make that attack roll.
Eight.
8. That is... Did you add your modifier to it?
What is the modifier for the attack?
It should say about halfway down you have a space for attacks, and your mace or your crossbow and mace should both be in there. And it should say to hit, and then there's a plus value there.
Oh, crossbow is +4.
Okay, so that would be a total of 12 then? Is that right?
Yeah.
Alright, you do actually hit on that one. So you can go ahead and roll the damage, which should be right next to on your...
D8 +2.
Yep.
3 + 2, 5.
5 points of damage. Nicely done. Alright. So, your crossbow bolt finally strikes home and catches the boar right in the side. It squeals for a moment, and suddenly, again, instead of 1 boar, you have 3 now. And all 3 of them are charging straight towards you. Placé. Alright, that is going to be the first one I know is a miss. Second, 19, which hits, I believe. On you? Okay. Yeah, and the last one is actually another 19, so 2 strikes that make their target.
For the chat that still has a hard time hearing me, I turn the volume up again a little bit.
Alright, so I'm going to say that the boar wasn't quite far enough away to get a so quite as much damage. So total of 5 points of damage from those 2 strikes as these 2 boars kind of rush against you, and you kind of turn with the blows a little bit, but they do catch you enough to throw you off balance, and you can feel the strain on your muscles a little bit as they're striking home on you.
Yeah, but
bring
the
us
one
back
board
to
deals
you, Zardu.
12 to our wizard.
Sorry, sometimes you're kind of weak numbers. you roll the best possible numbers and try and kill your party outright. So,
Okay.
that was on purpose.
So there's how many now? 3?
So currently you can see 3.
The good old magic missile.
Nice. Alright, so Magic Missile is a spell that hits automatically, so you can damage. Assuming you're using 1 missile on each boar?
Yeah. Okay. First one takes 5. Second one takes
5.
4.
Wow.
And the third one takes 4.
Very nice. So as your first missile strikes, you see it hit one of the boars, and that boar squeals much like the one did a moment ago. But instead of seeing any sort of physical impact or damage, it just disappears again. The second one strikes home, you definitely see it has an impact. You see it widen some of the wounds that were created by the crossbow bolt, and it's looking in bad shape. The third one gets hit with a missile, and that one also disappears. And that'll bring us back to you, Placé. You've got 1 boar left right now.
Let's swing with the crossbow again. Or, well,
Okay.
shoot with the crossbow, rather.
Crossbow.
Yeah, you can swing if you want to.
No, I think I'll go with using it as it was intended to be used.
Alright, that might make more sense. Go ahead.
Okay, I rolled an 8, and the modifier was +4.
Yes. So, wow, very consistent on your attack rolls there. Alright, so yep, that hits again. Go ahead and roll for...
Okay. Uh, 8 + 2, so 10.
Oh, wow, jeez. Brutal damage. So yeah, you have a little bit more of a moment to compose yourself before you take this shot, and you strike home. You know you went straight through the heart, and that boar just drops dead. For the briefest moment, you both see kind of this flicker of energy appear around the body of the boar, and then that fades out as well, and you guys find yourselves there. Little beat up, but you made it through. Nobody died. It's a good start.
Not bad.
Alright, I know exactly what I want to do if we're ready for this. Alright, so
Alright.
you mentioned
What's next?
some, is it like pipes or whatever, in that rubble earlier. So I'm going to go back over there and attempt to build a spellskite.
All right, so you start digging through some of the bits and pieces of machinery that's sitting over here. First, I guess, go ahead and give me an investigation check.
Hold on, I'm going to scroll back up here. And then we got to roll. Investigation. 21.
21. All right. I'm going to have to ask for CR checks, I think, for this, considering you're going for a very large and complex project right off the bat.
We got to calculate, though, for the hermit factor. I think I get bonuses on my rolls.
Fair enough. You're a reclusive, crazy old wizard, and a part of the Izzet. I guess nothing about it should surprise me. All right, so you are very quickly able to kind of pull together a number of parts that actually seem reasonably useful. Like, as much as this place is in a state of severe disrepair, seems like a lot of the minor little bits and pieces of Izzet machinery that were once a part of these structures have remained relatively intact. Whatever did a lot of the wrecking didn't seem to be too thorough in what they were taking or what they were destroying. So now I want you to go ahead and give me probably an intelligence check. Just general intelligence using
what did I
that score. It's not a specific skill.
Yeah. 18.
Wow, jeez.
I'm a smart boy.
You are a smart boy. You are kind of in your element doing this. So not only did you find the tech, you feel fairly confident that you would be able to start to put it together into something somewhat useful. Do you have tinkerer's tools in your inventory.
Is it going to be called Tinkerer's Tools? Or
It would be called tinkerer's tool specifically. Yep.
I
So you
have
probably don't.
a little bag of sand.
Probably not going to be super useful in this instance, but we'll keep it in mind.
I don't have Tinkerer's Tools, no.
Okay.
I have a
All
small
right, so
knife and a
you're
winter
thinking-
blanket.
You're thinking you could do some stuff with this, but now's probably not the time and the place, and you might need to actually find some equipment to build with.
You got any Tinkerer's Tools? Looking right at you. Yoo-hoo!
I think he's talking to you there, Placé.
What now? I didn't even hear what you said, I don't think.
You got any Tinkerer's Tools?
No, I do not.
Can I attempt to make some?
You know what? Why not? I'm gonna say I'll give you a choice. You can either make no. Let's make it a survival check, actually.
Oh, gross.
Based on your ability to scrounge stuff from nearby to use as crude tools and instruments.
11.
11. All right. You start to kind of try and put some of the pieces together, but these are, the kind of spellcraft and machine knowledge that would be required to create the kind of thing you're thinking of is a little advanced. You're not actually 100% sure you know how that magic works just yet. And you just don't think you can put something like this together with this kind of crude instrument that you have at your disposal right now. You kind of cobble some junk together, but you think really you just ended up doing more damage to sensitive components than you really did creating anything new.
Okay, so Mage Hand is an extension of myself. So I'm going to use Mage Hand and then Disguise Self to disguise my Mage Hand as Tinkerer Tools, and then use that Tinkerer Tools to build a spell skite.
Oh. So you're one of those people that I've heard about as a DM who just find the most absurd concoction. Again, Resident Reclusive Wizard, why am I surprised? I'm gonna need a moment to consult some spells here.
Alright.
I'm gonna have to say Mage Hand is, strictly speaking, considered an extension of yourself. That's really disguise it. Also, I don't know why I'm bothering, because Disguise Self doesn't actually change the thing. It just makes it look different.
But if I think it's Tinkerer Tools, and I could use it as Tinkerer Tools, then it's Tinkerer Tools.
Okay. You go ahead and believe that. Placé.
Hold on a second.
Your strength... Oh.
I'm just for sake of the viewers, I'm pulling up the spell skite card so people can see what it is.
There you go.
It right here. It's a it's a little creature that can make targets of spells change to targeting it. There we go. Okay. We're done.
Alright, so Placé, you took your killing shot on the boar, and you watch as your companion immediately around, and he's playing with some garbage, as far as you can tell. What would you like to do?
Maybe I should, I'm thinking
build
of
a
carving up
spell
the
skite.
boar for food. You know,
Okay.
clean it up and...
Sure.
Yeah.
That sounds great. So go ahead and go over. We'll make this another survival check just to see how effective you are at cleaning this animal and preserving the meat.
Mm. 22.
22, nice. Oh yeah, this is not your. You go over there, you clean it fairly quickly, and you have at your disposal a boar that's ready to be processed, and you got that meat down pat. You do notice as you're cleaning the boar, however, there seems to be something weird about it. You can't quite place it, but aside from the fact that this boar is randomly splitting into several boars, or the other weird effects that seem to be going on, the meat doesn't seem bad. It doesn't. It seems like, for all intents and purposes, it's a real boar, but you still just kind of get that sense of there's something weird and kind of magical going on about this boar as you are, kind of in the process of cleaning it.
Two things. First of all, I'm a real boar! Okay, and then second of all, I'm gonna inspect said boar meat for magical purposes.
What was the first thing you said? I didn't get any of that.
I'm a real boar!
Yeah,
Your mic is just not. I still didn't.
Yeah, we get really garbled audio on our end. Speak slowly.
But it's not as funny that way.
Okay,
But
well,
it's not
say,
funny at all.
Okay. In a Pinocchio tone, I'm a real boar.
Okay.
Oh.
Alright, okay, that makes
It
a lot
wasn't that funny anyway.
Alright.
Alright, so you come over and have a look at the board. Go ahead and give me an Arcana check, since you would have noticed
Gladly.
as a wizard that this was clearly a magical effect.
17.
17. Without really even making an inspection as you're processing through what happened in that fight and what the boar was doing, it's obvious to you something cast some sort of spell on this boar. You know that a boar itself doesn't have the natural ability to cast magic on themselves. You can assume somebody has created this spell for you. Or for it. I don't know. Not you. You weren't the one multiplying into more.
It was
yous.
the Golgari. 100%. They did this. I hate the Golgari. Okay.
Alright. As you guys have kind of come down from your battle, and you've taken the time to inspect the boar, clean it, all that stuff, it's starting to get to the point where it's getting later on in the day. You would guess you're probably pushing closer to your 3-hour rendezvous time with Perennial.
I totally forgot about that chick. Yeah, we should probably go back and meet her. Probably okay idea.
Alright, so you guys wander back. As you get closer to the initial area where you are, you know what, actually? Take that back. Go ahead and give me a survival check again. You guys are into the rubble bells. Let's see if you can find your way out effectively.
18.
15.
Alright, yeah, no, you guys are you make your way, picking your way through the rubble, and you even kind of catch sight of some of your own tracks, and you have a familiarity of the area to an extent now. And you're pretty quickly able to make your way back to where you first split ways with Peretnion. And as you approach, you do see her. She's arrived just ahead of you guys, and she's seems to be laying down, kind of waiting for you guys to approach. And as you get closer, she stands up and, well, what did you find?
Not a lot. Just a possessed / magical / I don't know what you want to call it, boar. Some kind of really weird boar.
I found pieces for a spell skite. I just need some tinkerer tools. Do you have any?
I am sorry, I don't carry that kind of thing, no.
Useless.
Not much for... Pardon me?
What?
Well, I'm afraid I didn't find a hole either. So it seems this mission wasn't exactly much of a success. You didn't see anything else out there? Anything at all?
Nothing.
Still, something must have cast a spell on that boar.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's the Golgari. I think
When
we
they
should
should be
hunt
back.
them down.
Why the Golgari? I don't
Trust me.
understand.
Just trust me. I got this feeling.
What was so magical about the boar? What was it doing? What was happening?
It was multiple boars, but at the same time, it was only one boar.
I don't think I understand.
But it was also multiple boars! But the same boar!
So, there was one boar or there were several boars?
There was one boar that was
But it
several
appeared-
boars.
It would appear to be in multiple places at once.
Here a boar, there a boar, everywhere a boar. But then, it all became one boar. And then it became more boars again, and then one boar, and then we killed it.
That sounds like strange and disturbing magic.
That's why I think it's the Golgari.
But I don't understand. Why the Golgari?
Because they are strange and disturbing.
Well, that's hardly fair. How are we supposed to engage in peace talks with the guilds if you're going to say such things about them?
Everyone else will agree as long as the Golgari is dead.
Why? And you, my friend, the Boros have always been a little more reasonable than me, is it? What do you think about this situation?
Honestly, unsure. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary until it was charging at us. Yeah.
Golgari.
Well, maybe it's best we stay here for the night and investigate again in the morning. See if we can't find anything. I don't like the idea of this kind of magic running amok out here in the rubble belts.
Not a bad idea.
And I think your friend maybe needs some rest. He seems a bit out of sorts.
I don't sleep. I don't sleep.
Right.
It's the
Well,
Golgari.
I'm going to go begin to set up camp then. And with that, you guys all kind of begin to set up some basic camping supplies, preparing to spend your night in the closest Ravnica equivalent to a wilderness that one can find. And I think that's where we'll go ahead and call it good for tonight.
All right.
Yep. So, this again has been our first episode of Chaos Reigns. Hopefully you enjoyed our first little kickstart despite the technological mishaps, and we're still working on getting the kinks out, but I feel like we're starting to get on our feet.
I
Kinda-
mean,
All right.
it would help
So-
if
Just say yes,
me and,
Nathan, just say yes.
I mean, everything would be easier if we had access to better internet.
Wouldn't it just?
Disconnect.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
It's not an ironic name.
So, as promised, as we're wrapping things up here, I'm gonna read off the notifications. Thank you to Zogelix for the resub. That's 4 months in a row. And thank you to Tifluffy for the 100 bits. I appreciate the support from you guys.
Woohoo!
Yeah, awesome. I guess I'll go ahead. Like I said, we can post this, or that's going to work best. But the chaos cards that I revealed that got us started off, The first one was our NPC. Perennial was based off the card Sten Power Peacemaker, which is a Selesnya card, obviously.
Do you want
The
to?
enemy
Do you
card-
have these? Do you want to show them to your camera?
I can try if they work, if it shows up okay. How does this look? The sleeves probably don't help anything.
The sleeves definitely don't help.
There we go. There's still a terrible glare, and it's backwards because cameras.
Yep.
So, there's our NPC for the evening. Our enemy, not surprisingly, was a Rebel Belt boy. And finally, our plot was based off of the card Mirror March, which creates duplicates of your creatures as they're attacking.
Yep. Yep.
End step. So,
Makes sense.
yep. So, you guys have been set up. You have your first ally. You faced your first minor challenge. Something of a small mystery on your hands to work on solving. As a note, I am out of town traveling for work next week, so I won't be available to do the Chaos Reigns stream 1 week from today, but we can jump in and start back up 2 weeks. And I'm assuming, I don't know, zzilmy, if you'll have something as a normal stream during this time slot anyway.
Yeah, I'll probably fill it with something. It's part of my stream schedule now. I'll probably just like play Rocket League as my usual.
I mean, you and I could do something because I have this slotted into my schedule already. So we could do multiplayer.
We could do like MTG Arena or something.
Yeah. I think mine's
Hey,
finally up to
more
date. So we can
magic.
do that.
Yeah. So unless you guys have any other comments, I'll wrap up the stream here.
Sounds good. I guess the only other thing would be, I'll mention if you guys are interested in, can, as I said before, listen to me and my co-hosts on the MinMax podcast. You can find us minmaxpodcast@gmail.com, minmaxpod at all of the did I say minmaxpodcast@gmail.com? Because it's wrong. It's minmaxpod@gmail.com and minmaxpod on all the socials. Or follow me on Twitter at StainbrookKyle, which should be where I get to do the cool pointing at things that are also on the screen
Right
now.
below.
Yeah, it's right.
Oh, yeah. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you'll see very tech rants, stupid tweets. Yeah, just random nonsense going on.
You'll see me complain about Rocket League at this Twitter handle. And I also tweet whenever I go live on Twitch. Obviously, this stream, the D&D campaign we're doing is affiliated both with MinMax Podcast and Disconnect. MinMax Podcast being a podcast, and Disconnect being an esports organization. So like Kyle said, if you're interested in learning more about MinMax, check out their socials, whatever. For Disconnect, we've got our social down there. That's our Twitter. Or if you're interested in joining our Discord, you can do !Discord in my chat, or click the banner below. And like we mentioned when we started, we'll be getting the video of this up on both my personal YouTube, which is just zzilmy, and the MinMax Pod.
And the MinMax
YouTube.
podcast, yep. on
Hopefully,
YouTube.
I'm hoping to get it on my channel tomorrow. I don't know how soon you'll get yours up. Probably in the next day or two.
Hopefully, yeah, that would be the plan.
So when that happens, if you missed any parts of the stream, you want to go back, rewatch it, keep up on the storyline. Cool. We'll be back at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 weeks from today.
Yep.
So, as always, I appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching, guys.
See you guys later.